In this tutorial, we'll explore various characteristics and shapes of return distributions. Recall, a financial return distribution provides a visual illustration of the frequency and magnitude of various returns. Return distributions can take different shapes, so it helps to understand a few characteristics of a distribution's shape and their measurements. We'll explore four characteristics, which in statistics are referred to as the four statistical moments. These are called mean, variance, skewness, and kurtosis. First, the mean, also known as the average, is a measurement of the central location of the distribution. There are other measurements of central tendency, such as the median or mode. However, we'll focus on the mean as this has several uses in practice. To compute the mean, or average, we'll add all the returns and divide by the number of return periods. Visually, this can be thought of as the point where the distribution would balance, similar to a fulcrum of a seesaw. A high mean or high average return will result in a distribution located towards the right. A low or negative mean will result in a distribution located more towards the left. The second moment, variance, measures how far a distribution is spread out from its mean. In other words, variance measures the width of the distribution. The formula to compute the variance is more complex than the mean, but it's worth mentioning that it involves squaring the deviations from the mean. A higher variance indicates a wider distribution, while a lower variance indicates a more narrow distribution. Variance is always a positive number. The third moment, skewness, measures the asymmetry of a distribution. In other words, it measures any tilt or lopsidedness of the distribution. The formula to compute skewness is more complex. Generally speaking, though, a positive skew describes a distribution with a longer and fatter tail on the right-hand side. This would indicate more potential for very large positive returns. Conversely, a negative skew describes a distribution with a longer and fatter tail on the left-hand side. This would indicate more potential for very large negative returns. The final characteristic, kurtosis, measures the peakedness of a distribution. In the context of financial returns, this generally relates to the probability of extreme returns, positive or negative, also known as fat tails. The formula to compute kurtosis is also complex. Kurtosis values are often compared to a standard value of 3. This standard value of 3 is derived from a special type of distribution called a normal distribution, but for now it is beyond the scope of this tutorial. The main point to understand is that kurtosis values above 3 are considered high. In statistics, this is called excess kurtosis. In financial terms, excess kurtosis indicates fat tails and a higher potential for extreme returns, either positive or negative. This completes the tutorial on characteristics of distributions. Please continue with our next tutorials on risk measurement and modeling distributions.